Hi everyone, my name is Mr. Sunnyboy C. De La Cruz and I have finished my Master of Science in Teaching Mathematics at the Western Mindanao State University, and currently I am a teacher of Arena Blanco National High School, DepEd Zamboanga City Division. So today I'll be sharing to you about percentage. Let's take a quick review. Divide each square into 100 equal parts. As you can see, there is a figure on the right. So if you are going to count the number of small squares in the grid, so it will make up 100. So in that particular square grid, you notice that there is one small square that is shaded. So meaning to say, 1 out of 100 parts is shaded, 1 out of the 100 small squares of the whole is shaded, or we say that 1% of the whole is shaded, or we read that as 1%. In symbol, we use this as a symbol for percent, and 1% can be written as 1 all over 100 in fraction form, or it can also be written as 0.01 in decimal form. So therefore, we can say that any number can be written as a part of a 100 or a percentage.
Let's take example number 1. Express 60% as a fraction. The first method we have is that we are going to represent the 60% in the small square grid that is amounting to 100 small squares. We have 100 small square grids that are actually flashed on our screen, and out of that 100 small square grids, there are 60 small square grids that are shaded. So if we are going to divide that 100 small square grid by 10, so you have 10 of that. And if you are going to divide that 100 small square grids by 20, then you will have 5 groups of 20. Now these 5 groups of 20 can be represented further with another diagram that is projected on the right. So as you notice, these 20 small squares can be represented by this one whole bar. So therefore, if we are going to count 60 small square grids, then that is equivalent to 3 whole bars. Okay, so therefore 60% is equals to 60 all over 100, and we can write the percentage as a fraction with 100 as its denominator. And then if we are going to get the simplest form of 60% as a fraction, then it is equivalent to 3 all over 5.
So 3 all over 5 is already expressed in its simplest form. We can also solve that particular problem using another model. So let's take model number 2. A diagram can be used to express as a percentage as a fraction. So as you can see, you have 100 small squares which represents 0%, 10% until you will reach 100%. And this actually diagram can also be represented in terms of a fraction. So we have 0, 1 all over 10 until you will reach 9 all over 10 until you will have 10 all over 10 or equivalent to 1. Now, if you are going to locate that 60% in terms of fraction, that is equivalent to 6 all over 10. And if we are going to calculate that, that is 60% equals to 60 all over 100. If we divide this 60 all over 100 by 10, it will give us 6 all over 10. And if we are going to divide further 6 all over 10 by 2, then it will give us 3 all over 5. And our final answer would be 3 all over 5 in its simplest form. Now let's take another example. We have example number 2. Express 45% as a decimal. So the first method that we can use is 45% is equivalent to 45 all over 100. So if we are going to use our calculator, then we can divide 45 by 100, and that gives us 0.45. Let's have another method. Now, a number line can be used to express a percentage as a decimal. So 0%, as you can see, from this point up to that point, so this number line is actually divided into 10 subdivisions, and each region will represent 10%. So as you go along with the number line, then you will have to increase 10% every time. So if we are going to convert the 10% into a decimal, then 10% is equivalent to 0.1 until you will reach 0.9, or 100% is equivalent to 1. Now, if we are going to locate 45% into the number grid, then 45% is in between 40% and 50%. And this 45% is actually equivalent to 0.45 because 0.45 is also in between 0.4 and 0.5. So therefore, we can say that 45% is equivalent to 0.45. Let's have an application of the concept of percentage in real life situation. An airplane had 400 seats. 80% of the seats were occupied. How many seats were occupied? So method 1, as you can see on the figure on the right, so there are 10 small squares that represents 100%, and that is amounting to 400 seats. So if you are going to calculate the 80%, it would mean that 8 blocks that are shaded out of the 100, that is equivalent to the 80%. Now we are going to calculate how much is 1%. Now 100% is equivalent to 400 seats, and 1% is equals to 400 divided by 100, and that gives us 4. So if we are going to get 80% of the number of seats that were occupied, then 80% is equivalent to 4 times 80, and that gives us 320. So 100% of the seats is the total number of seats. We can also apply method number 2. So 80% of the seats would mean 80% of 400. So if we are going to change 80% into the fractional form, then that gives us 80 all over 100. So of means multiplication. Then we are going to multiply 80 all over 100 times 400. So using your calculator, you can actually multiply 80 times 400. Whatever will be the product, you are going to divide that by 100, and that gives us 320. So therefore, there are 320 seats that were occupied. Another example is a dress cost $80 before GST. There was a 7% GST on the dress. How much was the GST? So the 100% is actually represented by the bar, which is 100%, okay, and that is amounting to $80. And there is an added 7% for the GST, which is represented by this region, which is the shaded region with the orange color. So if we are going to calculate 100%, that is amounting to $80, and 1% is $80 divided by 100, and 1% is equivalent to $0.80. Now, that would mean that 7% is equals to $0.80 times 7, and it will give us $5.60. So therefore, the GST was $5.60. So what do you mean by GST? GST stands for Goods and Services Tax. Let's take the last example. Example number 5. The usual price of a refrigerator was $1,800. During a sale, Miss Heidelin Diaz was given a 20% discount after winning the gold in the Olympics. How much was the discount? So the whole bar that is colored with orange or shaded with orange represents the $1,800, and that is amounting to 100%. So this $1,800 is our usual price. Now we have a second bar which is actually shaded with blue, and this is actually our selling price. So the question is, how much was the discount? So meaning to say, if we are going to subtract 20% from 100%, that is the selling price, which is the 80%, but that is not what is asked. What is asked is how much was the discount, and the discount is represented by the 20%. So the 20%, if we are going to calculate the 20%, that is 100%, equals to $1,800, and 1% is equals to $1,800 divided by 100, and that is $18. So if we are going to calculate 20%, that means to say $18 times 20, and that is equivalent to $360. So therefore, we can say that the discount was $360. So the discount is the difference between the usual price and the selling price. It is the amount that you save. Thank you for listening. Muchísimas gracias y Dios te bendiga.